and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jess and today's video is going to be my Defeat the TBR update. Now, I feel like this month has been successful for me. I also wanted to say at the beginning of this video, thank you guys so much for being so patient with me in this past month. I have not been able to keep to 2 uploads a week. I've kind of gone back to uploading to just Sundays, and unfortunately, as much as I would love to keep uploading twice a week, I just cannot currently at this moment in time comfortably do that without stressing myself out beyond belief. I'm hoping that come December I can do 2 uploads a week again, particularly near the end of the year. I will need to do more than 1 upload a week anyway because I want to do all my wrap-up videos I have planned. Anyway, let's jump straight on into this video. I feel like I've had a very successful month, but we do have a lot to talk about to start off with. So, first things first, I want to talk about the fact that I did do an unhaul this month. Now, this unhaul was very specific and kind of targeted within my TBR area that I want to shrink down. So, the TBR area that I really want to shrink down, as you guys probably guessed, was my thrillers. I let one of my close friends have first kind of selection. These books will either be donated to my local secondhand bookstore, and they will also be gifted to my friends and family. I let one of my friends have a look through first. She chose 3 books. She took Little Deaths by Emma Flint, The Split by Sharon Bolton, and Lord Lost by Darren Shaw. But I do have a little stack down here of books that I am about to donate once I have had my family give back their feedback. If they want any of these, then I will be donating them. The first one we have here, which is probably the thickest one we can see, is Desperation by Stephen King. Speaking of Stephen King, I do have a second book of his, and that is Pet Sematary. Unhauling Under the Knife by her. And then I'm also getting rid of I Know a Secret because I'm convinced that I have read this book, because every time I try to read it, I get the sense that I've read it. But I have checked every single type of tracker that I've done for my reading over the years, and I cannot find in there that I've read this. And then finally I'm getting rid of one that I brought recently from a charity shop within the last year actually, and that's The Castaways by Lucy Clark. So those are all the books that I unhauled. I unhauled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I unhauled 8 books, which doesn't seem like a lot. However, it did mean that I managed to fit all of my thrillers onto one shelf on my TBR shelves, which just made me so happy because it gave me raw room for my fantasy romance. All of the books I kind of tend to reach for all the time and I kind of go through really quickly. Let's move on to the books that I have hauled this month, because kind of just an interesting situation I've put myself in is just the fact that, like, I said I was going to be on a no buy / low buy, and I will say, like, there's been more books that I've wanted to buy than the books that I have picked up this past month, but I am trying to be a lot better, and honestly, you guys will be the judge of this by yourselves. But I feel like because they're unhauled books, it kind of justifies the purchase of a book, you know? I did say I wasn't going to miss out on any really good deals, especially on books that I've been wanting to read for a long time. Now, The Works in the UK is one of the most, like, popular book places if you want to buy cheap books. Nearing the beginning of the month, The Works actually had in the entirety of the Elsie Silver series that everyone and their mum has been loving, this cowboy romance series. So they only had the first 4 books. I believe there is 5 in the series. I think the last one, Hopeless, just came out, and I believe it is the last one in the series. So yeah, they had these on the 3 for £6, so you could get 3 of these, like, really hyped up kind of TikTok popular books for £6. I just was so excited to see these, and I've been wanting to read them for the longest time, and seeing them, like, for such a great price, I was like, I cannot leave them. But yeah, now you're wondering, okay Jess, like, it was 3 for £6 but you got 4, did you just pay for the 4th one separate? Of course I didn't. I then completed the second 3 for £6 by buying a couple of Christmassy themed books. Now, I've never really read Christmas themed books, but I really want to do like a reading vlog at the end of November, early December, reading more Christmas themed books. So I found these 2. I found the Gingerbread Cafe by Anita Faulkner, and then I also got the Christmas Murder Game. I also got one more book from there this month, and that was From Look Up With Love by Mariana Zapata, and this is because it was on sale for £3. Like, it was originally 5 and it's now 3. I wanted to read a Mariana Zapata book for a long time and give her a go, because I've heard so many good things about her books, and I've heard that she is, again, the queen of a slow burn romance book, and I'm just really excited. And again, I feel like this one would fit really nicely into my Christmas book reading vlogs. Then let me show you guys the most one of the most stunning editions of books. Guys, look at this edition of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is a collector's edition of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and it is stunning. You can buy this in Waterstones. It is designed by a publisher called Electric Monkey. Look at it. It's so reflective. There's some quotes on the back. The sprayed edges are epic. Oh, sorry, it's focusing on my face. The sprayed edges are epic. Okay, then mine and Luke's anniversary was this month as well, and we did like a kind of gift exchange, but we don't normally get gifts for our anniversary, so we were inspired by the kind of timer in a bookstore kind of game that people do where their partner will give them a 30-second timer, they've got to pick up as many books as they can. But if you guys didn't know this, I'm sure you do if you've been watching my channel for a while now, my partner Luke, he is a Lego builder, Lego collector, Lego enthusiast through and through, and obviously if we did the timer method in a bookstore would be very different to doing it in a Lego store, because you could easily blow a ton of money in the Lego store, whereas it would be slightly harder to do that in a bookstore. So instead we decided that we were going to kind of set like an almost budget and I would match that. So we decided that I would choose 3 to 4 books from Waterstones. So I ended up choosing 3 and I'm so happy with my selection. So the first one was very targeted. I was definitely looking for this book, and that was A Game of Retribution by Scarlett St. Clair. This is the next book in the Hazel Persephone kind of world, but they're 2 sagas that you read together by Scarlett St. Clair. Okay, the next book that I chose again was very targeted because I've wanted to read this for a long time, and that is Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. That took me a while to get out. I wanted to read this for a long time, guys, long time. It's the first book in a trilogy, but she's also been bringing out spin-off books that follow the other Princes of Hell, and I have been so intrigued by the new ones, especially their hardcovers. They're so stunning, they're so pretty. However, I knew that I wanted to read this original trilogy first. Finally, I chose this book. Now, this book was not one on my radar. I was just kind of like walking around. There was a couple of romances that I was contemplating choosing. We went up to the young adult section and this was there, The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin. This is what it looks like. It's a stunning edition. Again, it's a limited edition, I believe, from Electric Monkey. They've just been everywhere that I was, and you can also see these very detailed, can you see, is it focusing? It tries to focus on my face, I'm hoping you can see that. These very detailed sprayed edges. I love, and then if you take off the dust jacket, around the hardback you have a printed dust jacket, and then the end papers are just really simple lacy kind of end papers. Now this is a spin-off duology, I believe, the first in a spin-off duology by Shelby Mahurin that follows after the events of the Serpent and Dove trilogy. Now I really enjoyed Serpent and Dove. It's up there on my shelves at the end here, these 3 books. If you're wondering why the counter didn't go up for the 3 books that Luke gifted me, it's because gifted books do not count towards my TBR count throughout the year. If anyone gives me a book, it does not count towards my physical TBR count. Now yes, it is a book that is then on my physical TBR, but I don't want to put that pressure on like people around me that they can't buy my books because I'm counting my TBR. That's not how this is meant to work at all. And then finally, yesterday we went into Sainsbury's. Now Sainsbury's don't always have this deal. I thought this was going to be an always deal, but they do a 2 for £8 on books deal, and then if not, your books are £4.50, which is a very, very reasonable price for books. So there's been a couple of books that I have wanted so bad and I've been holding off on like all month. I know it looks bad because I've brought quite a few books this month, but I promise you I have been holding off on a lot of books, and this was just like my reckoning. The 2 for £8 plus the discount that I would get off them was just my reckoning point. It was that point where I kind of reached, I was like, I've got to, I just have to, this is not going to come up again. I ended up picking up 3 books from Sainsbury's, so I obviously brought one for £4.50 and then I got the others for 2 for £8. So look how cool, by the way, like I didn't notice this when I picked them up, but they literally like ombre from one another. It's very, very, very pretty. First book I picked up was Wildfire by Hannah Grace. She is the author of Icebreaker. Now I haven't read Icebreaker. Can someone tell me if you're aware in the comments below? Do the characters from Icebreaker turn up in this book? Because if they do, then I'll definitely read Icebreaker first, but if not, I will go straight into this and then read Icebreaker after if I feel like I want more from the author. We have My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. either of those, not sure. I love this cover again, and again you may pause to read the synopsis if you wish, as long as it's in focus. Sorry if it's not. Finally, this one I haven't really heard anyone talk about much, but it just sounded so good, and I picked this up on multiple occasions when I've been in WH Smith, when I've been in Waterstones, when I've been in the Works, when I've been in Sainsbury's and Tesco's. I literally have looked at this so many times, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to get it as well. Whilst I'm here, I'm already buying books. May as well buy the third one. And that's Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mera. I think that's how I say that. I could be saying it wrong. I'm so sorry if I am pronouncing it wrong. Okay, now that I have been very incriminating to myself and outed all the books that I have hauled this month, let's go through all the books that I have read. Wait one moment. I just remembered, guys, I actually hauled 2 Kindle books. I hauled The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and I also hauled When in Rome. They were 99p on the Kindle deal, and that is why I ended up downloading them. So those are my other 2 incriminating books. Now let's jump onto the part that you guys are mainly here for, and that is all the books that I have read this past month. I have done a lot of book reading this past month, guys, and I'm very proud of myself for it. So let's jump right on into what I have read this month. Just to show you guys the extent of all the books I have read this past month, here is what my stack is looking like, and yes, it is heavy. The first book that I read this month was The Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This is the 3rd and final book in the Dreamland Billionaires series. Now you would have seen some of these books mentioned in my reading vlog if you have watched that, and you will also know that I was participating in the Spookoplathon, in Becca's Spookoplathon this past month. Now this was a book that I had already started at the end of last month, so I did just finish it this month, and I really enjoyed this, guys. This was probably my favourite book in the series. There was a couple of things that I didn't like at the end, such as grand gestures. I'm not like a huge fan of grand gestures in books, and I still think in terms of my ratings, I think I rated the first book in the series, The Fine Print, the highest. Now I'm not upset at that by any means, and I do kind of stand by that because it is the most, I guess, seemingly realistic. Like, you don't have to suspend your disbelief too much with that one. But yeah, this was probably over all of them though, even though my star rating, like, critically is not as high as it could be. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 stars. It's more like a 4.75 to be perfectly honest. I love this book, and this was my favourite book in the trilogy of books. Then I picked up and read A Touch of Ruin by Scarlett St. Clair. There is one lone tab in here, right? And I will say, if you guys have read this, when the page 368, it's like the page before part 3 comes up, right? Something happens, and I had to tab it, and because I put what in capital letters. Now this book I did really enjoy. I find Scarlett St. Clair's writing so addictive and so compelling. You can read it all in one sitting. However, there was just so much missing in here for me. Like, it felt like some of the plot was missing, some of the romance was missing. It felt like the problems weren't being solved. It felt like things were being told to you, not explained and explored. It's hard to explain, but there was just stuff missing, and it just wasn't as well crafted as some of the other kind of fantasies and fantasy romance that I have read. I will say that I feel like I'm going to get all of these kind of things that I was missing in this book particularly. I feel like I'm going to get all the things that I was missing from this book in the next Hades book, which is A Game of Retribution. With all that being said, I did end up giving it 3 stars. I didn't want to give it lower than that because I do really enjoy the way that Scarlett St. Clair writes. I just felt like there was quite a few things missing for me in this book that, again, I think I'm going to get from the next book in the Hades saga. Then I read The Guest List by Lucy Fowley on my Kindle app. There was lots of conflicting emotions with this. It just felt really dragged out. Like, the whole middle 150 pages were just so dragged out. I loved The Hunting Party by her, but this one just really fell flat for me, and yeah, I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. I just found it really boring. But I also have learned recently that I am just not a fan of like domestic thrillers, like ones that have husbands and wives or people getting married. Just not into it. Then I jumped in and started the Cowboy series by Elsie Silver. I don't actually know what this series is called. At first I struggled to get into the kind of romance and world, but then as the book went on, I got more and more into the world and into the romance and into our characters. I really loved them together. I particularly loved how kind of strong-willed they both were, and I felt that I saw like almost like a lot of myself, of like my younger self, in our main character Summer, because she just wants to do everything to please everyone else and she's not necessarily doing what pleases her the most. Like, I really love this book. I ended up giving it 3 stars. And that's not to say it was a bad book, it just means that it was good, but I feel like the rest of the series is going to get even better, dare I say it, because I'm so excited for the second book in this series. I feel like I'm going to love it. I am smiling so bright right now because this book, guys, this book, honestly, I have goosebumps thinking about this book. The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin is the next book that I read. Read this straight after picking it up and I fell in love. I cannot let go of these characters. I want the next book now. This just felt so well written, and honestly, I said this in my reading vlog, but I would put this in terms of like writing style and the way that it was written, it definitely goes above Serpent and Dove for me. Like, I loved feeling that like even more intense emotions that I was getting from this book, and this book has vampires in. And so begins my vampire romance fantasy deep dive into the internet to find all the books that have vampires in. Guys, this was so good. I devoured this in 3 days. That meant that I read about 200 pages every day, by the way, because it's like 600 pages long. I would highly recommend this. However, the one thing that I would say is like, I'd recommend this and say that it is better than Serpent and Dove in my personal opinion, but you do definitely have to read Serpent and Dove beforehand. I mean, you could get away with not reading them, but I would maybe suggest watching a kind of wrap up at least, or like a spoiler filled review of the trilogy first. And the reason why I say that is because we do follow, I want to say Celie in here, and she goes through some very, very, very traumatic events and things in the first trilogy, and those things are referenced. There is reference to those in this book, and you kind of need to understand exactly what she went through to kind of understand the kind of character that she is. I am gonna anxiously await the next book in this series and hope that it comes out next year, and I will get my hands on it straight away. And if there is another beautiful Waterstones limited edition, I will definitely be picking up because I was obsessed with this book. I gave it a 4.75, but honestly this is going up to a 5 because I cannot stop thinking about it and how happy it makes me. Okay, next I ended up picking up Need Me. I forgot to say this, but all of these books are in this order because they relate to a Spookopoly role that you will see in my reading vlogs. I was so scared of going into, to be honest, because I really did not like the first book in the series, which is right next to me actually, Chase Me, this one right here. This book I did not enjoy, and it's made me so incredibly nervous to continue this series, but I am proud and very happy to say that I really enjoyed this one. I actually gave this 4 stars. It was really good. It was very short, like I read it in one sitting, but it was very good. I enjoyed it. I don't really have any much more to say. And I ended up finishing The Atlas 6 by Levy Blake. Now this is a very conflicting read for me because it was good. It was good. You'll see more of my thoughts on this book in my next reading vlog, which will be coming. It won't be coming until the second week of next month, I don't think, but it is fully filmed. So I do apologise that it's not coming. I would love to upload it on Wednesday, but I don't know if I have it edited in time for Wednesday. I really dislike some of the characters in here and it really frustrates me. But I will say I did kind of find the revelation of kind of like the story very interesting, and it just kind of shocked me. I enjoyed it. I am intrigued to read the second book in the series, The Atlas Paradox, but I will not be buying it in hardback. I will be waiting for the paperback to come out. I am intrigued to finish the trilogy. It's not the highest on my priority list, meaning that I probably won't make progress in it until next year. I ended up giving it 3 stars. Originally I had it on there as 3.5, but it's definitely more of a 3. Then I went ahead and read King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair, another Scarlett St. Clair book. Now this is another vampire one, however this also had that same feeling as I got from A Touch of Ruin, where plot points just felt a bit missed, it felt a bit rushed in certain places. This is only a duology though, and I do want to finish this by the end of the year, so I'm hoping to read the second book by the end of this year to kind of round out the duology. It should be an easy one to kind of catch up on. I definitely need to do a series continuation vlog again to finish off a couple of series, because I do have a couple in mind that I would like to finish off by the end of this year. So I ended up giving this one 3 stars. Again, doesn't mean I didn't like it, it just meant I found it really good and I do definitely want to continue. I think I could have easily read the whole duology together, to be honest, like in 2 days. After those 2 books I was like, oh, kind of feel like a bit almost borderline slumpy, because I haven't been getting those like big gushy feelings. I haven't been feeling super, I guess, connected to characters. I felt like something was missing in the last couple of books. And then your girl went and picked up Wretched by Emily McIntyre, the third book in the Never After novel series. I bloody loved it. It was so good. I still think about these characters to this day. The epilogue happened, and what I explained it to Luke as was that this epilogue, like, I wanted to know what happened between the end of the book and the epilogue. I also wanted to know what happened between the epilogue and the extended epilogue. I could read a full trilogy about this couple. I just feel like they're so matched together. I felt such a strong connection to them. I thought they were really well written. This one, it definitely has a similar dark themes to Hooked and Wretched, the first two in the series. Hooked and Wretched. To Hooked and Scarred, the first two books in the series. However, I kind of feel like it was almost gentler. Maybe that's because I was a Wattpad girly before I was like a physical book girly, but... Right, okay, sorry about that. I had to call my sister back. The next book that I read this month was Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerry Maniscalco. I really enjoyed this book. Now, like I said, this was like a targeted pick from me when I was choosing books from Luke. But I just really enjoyed this book so much. I really enjoyed the like depiction of the 7 princes of hell, which are also, by the way, the 7 sins, but also like the ending. Oh, I don't know how to explain it. My heart was like clenching in pain at the ending, and I'm also just, I really want to know what it is that's going on. Like, I know what's going on, but I also don't. And again, this is another one of those like fantasies with a mystery in where someone's died. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I really want to go out and buy Kingdom of the Cursed now. Like, I'm so into this story. I do have 13 Waterstone stamps, which means I've got about £13. So I may even go and take a trip to Waterstones to get the Kingdom of the Cursed and the Kingdom of... what is the last one called? Then the final book that I read this month was one of the Kindle books that I purchased this month as well, and that was the Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. Now, I believe that this is like it is kind of like a romance series. I'm not sure if I'm going to try and read every book in the romance series, but I did really enjoy this one. I felt it was very like cutesy. I really enjoyed our love interest. I think my one thing was, I kind of wished it was a little bit longer to allow more exploration into like the problems that they were going through and how they were solving them. I did really enjoy them, and I did think they were good together, so I put it at a 3.5 stars. And again, I really liked it. It was a really cute, cozy autumnal read. So the last thing to talk about in today's video, I have no idea how many books I'm at, by the way. I'll pop it up on big text on the screen. The last thing to talk about is the fact that I am still currently reading 2 books. Now, one of those books is A Court of Thorns and Roses. This one on the book Spookopoly because of a like feed scroll, and I follow a lot of people that talk about Throne of Glass, and Throne of Glass came up 3 times with no other book coming up, so I ended up picking up this. But it kind of worked perfectly in my favour because I am rereading this with my really close friend Anna. She has not finished the ACOTAR series. I have, of course, but I've been wanting to do a reread for the longest time, so I have started to reread, but I am reading it very slowly. So this book will probably be done by the end of November, but it probably won't be done like anytime kind of soon. And I am also currently reading A Game of Retribution by Scarlett St. Clair. Those are all the books that I unhauled, hauled and read this month. It's kind of like a chaotic month. I feel like I've been talking a lot because I've just been so excited about all the books I've read this month. Can't wait to organise all these books onto my shelves. Not sure how that's going to work because some of them are going to require a little bit of rejigging. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are currently reading a book, and if you're not but you're watching films or a series of some sort, let me know in the comments down below what you're watching, because I have been very into putting on a film at night recently and like snuggling down on the sofa. Me and Luke actually watched Coraline the other night. That's everything for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel if you're new around here. Let's see more videos from me, and I'll catch you guys all in my next one. Bye!